I said, what? What are you talking about?
Hey guys, this is Jeff with Fluent American, and today we're taking a look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's speech in English to try to see what are some of the things he does that sounds natural in American English. Probably one of the major things that you want to take a look at for his speech is vowel sounds. For instance, let's take a look at the ah sound, ah like in like cat.
And having everyone have a chance to start.
So one of the big things about the ah sound in American English is that when it is followed by a nasal sound like an N or an M or an NG, it's actually going to change the sound a little bit. It's going to sound like an if it's followed by an N. What's happening is you're sliding your tongue back a little bit more, and also you're adding a heavy breath out of your nose right before that nasal sound. So for instance, again, in a word like man, you can hear it there. It's not man, it's more man. Notice again how he says the word chance.
And having everyone have a chance to start.
Again, this difference with the an sound, and, could be made just a little bit stronger. An, chan, chance. Now take a listen to this sentence.
Where you guarantee the outcome being the same.
Outcome. So normally this is going to be your ow sound like in house or brown. And just a side note, one combination that can be tricky with this sound for a lot of speakers, I'm not saying Arnold is doing this, but for a lot of my other students, like an own sound in words like town, or found. When you're making that ow sound, so again, your mouth starting wide, and then closing, ow. You want to make sure that the back of your tongue is staying down. So for instance, in a word like found or town, the back of your tongue is down and you're raising that front of your tongue. But to return to Arnold, again, this word would sound a little bit more like outcome in a little bit more standard of an accent.
Where you guarantee the outcome being the same.
Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. There are a few other vowel sounds I want to take a look at too. The O sound, O, in words like go or slow, or in this case, socialism. So this O sound, again, you're opening your mouth wide, back of your tongue a little bit high, front of your tongue down, and then closing your mouth with small round lips. Oh, socialism. Compare that to how he says it.
Someone said to me, don't you promote socialism?
The last thing in terms of vowel sounds I want to take a quick look at is the schwa sound. Schwa sounds, again, this is like the most common vowel sound in English. You're kind of just relaxing your mouth, slightly raising the middle back of your tongue. Front of your tongue can be down. And it's similar to words like fun, that quick sound, fun.
I said, what?
So in general, something that would sound just maybe a little bit more standard, maybe more like what? Though you may hear people that pronounce it the way Arnold does.
What?
Technically, for a more standard pronunciation, it would be a little bit more like what. Though, of course, if you're exaggerating or you want to add extra emphasis or things like that, the sound may change.
But what we are doing is promoting the idea of starting at the starting line.
Same thing here. The idea of. So technically, both these words would have schwa sounds. Idea. You can hear it there, idea, and then same thing for of, the idea of. And notice they kind of run together with linking, so adding a slight y sound between idea and of, idea of. That's kind of the linking that you get, idea of. Want daily pronunciation practice and feedback? Take a look at our Patreon page to find out how to join our Telegram group, where we give daily exercises and corrections. Other minor things, for instance, R sounds before consonants. For instance, listen to this.
Of starting at the starting line.
Starting line. You want that R before the T in start to just be a little bit stronger. Starting of. It's not starting of, it's more starting of. Notice also, just a small note, that T, when you have a T sound after an R and then there's a vowel after that, a lot of times that T will take on a D sound, fast D sounds like starting. It's not starting, it's more starting in American English.
Of starting at the starting line.
Lastly, probably one of the biggest things for German speakers is like V's and W's. For instance, in this situation,
the same. But what we are doing is get that
what we're doing. And again, you want clearer W sounds. What, and then were. Notice again, you can't pronounce this as we're. You can say what we're doing. There's nothing wrong with that, but a lot of times it's going to get reduced. So instead of saying what we're, it often just becomes what we're doing. It's also not usually stressed. Regardless, compare those sounds to how he's saying it again.
The same. But what we are doing is get that.
In general, though, if you hear people in the US doing Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions from like the Terminator or things like that, they're usually super, super exaggerated. And I think if you listen to him talk, he actually sounds pretty good. He sounds pretty natural in a lot of situations. One of the reasons for that is that I think he does a great job of using stress in intonation patterns. For instance, listen to this.
Promoting the idea of starting at the starting line.
The way he uses stresses and reductions is great. The idea, stressing idea, of starting, stressing starting, reducing the of, and then repeating the starting with more stress on starting again. Starting line. The idea of starting line. And then he also finishes with that last stress on equally.
Promoting the idea of starting at the starting line.
So in general, I think the way he's using intonation and stress patterns is actually pretty good and natural sounding. If you enjoyed this analysis video, be sure to check out our other ones where we look at people like Donald Trump, Putin, Cristiano Ronaldo, and other people who speak English.